Hi guys, like as we have discussed about map reducing concept in the last session, so today we'll start something with a new ecosystem named Hive. So the reason that why we have to go for Hive and what does exactly Hive no will do in big data, and then how we will use Hive ecosystem to process the data. So those things actually we are going to discuss in today's session. As we are all aware that okay that most the data that what we store in HDFS, okay, that the data is getting stored in terms of files, right? So is it possible for us to query the data in the files, guys? It's not possible, right? So we can do querying only on the structured data, so which means like the data have to be represented as tables. So simple as that. So the data that whatever we have in HDFS, like which is represented in terms of files, so that data using Hive, okay, we will logically represent them as tables, not physically. Physically, in all the data nodes, the files are getting stored as files only. Logically, we will represent this data as tables, and so that Hive allow us to write some queries on that corresponding structured data. So that for that we have similar to SQL, we have a Hive query language in Hadoop. Okay, so we will see like okay how we can represent the data, the file data as logically as a table, and then how can we create tables in Hive, and how can we no do all the DDL and DML operations on that. So all those concepts we'll look into that. So for example, so if to start with, okay, so I'll have a small document for you. I will keep this aside. This is the best example that which you can easily understand the concepts of even partitioning and bucketing as well. So we are using Cloudera. So I have so let me tell you from the right. So to log into Hive shell, so we'll just use a command called as Hive. So if you have opened already your Cloudera Quick Start VM in front of you, I request you to open this terminal now, and then if you can just give in a new terminal, just give a command called Hive. It will automatically take you into this Hive shell. And in this Hive shell, we can execute all the Hive related queries on the data which is resided in HDFS. So what I'm gonna do is like now I'll be taking one input file. So I have a sample input data here, something named hive underscore input dot text. So it's just a text file. I have some sample data with me. So what do I gonna do is I want to place this input file in HDFS first, and then I want to show you like okay how can we create a table over this file and logically represent the data as a structured data. So that okay once it is represented as a structured data, then how we what kind of queries that we can write using HiveQL. Right. So you can see this. So to understand this data, okay, I have some sample data with me. I have employee ID, and I have or just a roll number or something. I have some employee ID, and then I have employee name and his designation, salary, and then department. So assume that these are the 5 columns that what I have, 5 fields that what I have in the input data, just a sample data. Okay. So I think hive underscore input dot text. This file is already there in my HDFS. I'll just rename this file before I move it to HDFS. I'll just give it as hive underscore ipt dot text. Okay. Now rename this file. So what I will do is I'll take one more tab. Right now, so I have already a folder named Sri, right, in HDFS. So in the last class we have created a directory named Sri under the root path. So I'll place this file there, Hadoop space fs hyphen put. So what's my file name? It's hive underscore ipt.txt, and this file is there in the current path itself, the same present working directory location. So I no need to mention its absolute path. So I'm going to place this file in Sri folder in HDFS. As we already know that, okay, see why, you people can have a question like, okay, it's not all people are familiar with Java. People who are comfortable with Java can do data processing in Hadoop using MapReduce, and people who are comfortable with SQL, they can very much they can choose a Hive query language to process the data. And okay, people, some, we also have pig, pig Latin script. We can write the scripting code there in order to process the data in HL. We have wide variety of options in Hadoop to process your data. It's not only like every time that we have to use only MapReduce concept. So we have many options. So sometimes, okay, we use Hive along with MapReduce. I mean, like we use Hive, and if you want to do some processing using Java in Hive, okay, we have a separate concept called as user-defined functions. So you can write that logic in Java, and then you can export that as a jar, and again you can use it in the same Hive shell. So anyway, we will see that Hive UDF concepts in our further classes. Now, yes, this file got placed in Hadoop, this HDFS. Now, what we'll do is, so this file physically it is no, it's just a file. It's logically it's not representing as any tables and all. So I'll create a table now. I'll just go to Hive. So create table, and then I'll create the table name as, for example, I'll just give Hive demo. Okay, demonstration. I'll give its IDs, like I have ID, which is an integer, and I have name. What else I have? It's designation, salary, and I have a department with me, right? So I'm not going to end my table here because we have some more syntactic rules to be followed in Hive. So generally our MySQL syntax, it looks exactly like this, right? So but in Hive we have some other extra properties that what we have to specify, and so our data is a row format delimited, right? And we have fields in our input. The fields are terminated by comma, isn't it? So in our input, like all our fields, like we have each and every input field is separated by the delimiter is comma. So I'm just going to specify, because this comma will act as a delimiter, and the fields between before comma and after comma will be considered as each cell value in your Hive table. Okay, so our delimiter will be comma. And what else we have? And see, you can save the data in HDFS, this table. Okay, even you can save this data, table data as a file, but what kind of file you want to save it as? Like, you want to save it as text file, or you have other options like sequence file or RC file or row columnar format, and we have optimized row columnar format, ORC file. And we are all familiar about these types of formats in which the data can be saved. See, generally what happens is, if you have text format data which consumes more space in your HDFS. For example, if it is consuming 100 kilobytes to 100 megabytes to store your data, if I do the same table storage as a ORC file, it will consume only 22%. It will save 78% of your HDFS space. So always we'll go for, okay, some better format of saving your HDFS space as well. So we have, so in order to save this data as a text file, I'll give it as text file. So if I want to save it as a sequence file, I can give it as sequence file. So if I want to save it as ORC file, I'll just say ORC file. So to demonstrate for our example, I am just going to save this as text file itself. So I'm just going to create a table called Hive demo with all these fields, where row format is delimited and fields terminated by, and I'll store this file as a text file. Okay. Sorry. You don't need to worry, because I have already written every query of this, okay, in this document, which I am going to share with you slowly in that. Once this session is over, I'll share all these commands for you. Now I just created a table in Hive. So what I want to do is, like, the data that what I have in HDFS, hive underscore input.txt file, I want to load that data into this table, which means that physically I have my data in a file. So far I want to represent that file data as a table in Hive. So what I will do is, see, if I want to insert data, you also supports insert statement, like what we have in MySQL. How we will do in MySQL, like, okay, we insert no into table name, and then you'll give values of, you'll just give each record at a time. But it's very difficult for us. We also have insert statement support in Hive query language as well, but okay, we are not going to use it, because okay, we have an option of loading the entire file data into Hive table at one go. It's taking a bit time, and I think my machine is a bit slow. Yeah, please. Pardon? Yeah, sure. Um, no, yes, we have that query, but that is the next statement that what we are going to look. So first I have created a file, input data file separately, and I have created a table matching with to the schema of that file. So I've did the initial two steps. Now the third step is, I want to load that data into this table. So for that, I have a command called as load data. Here you have to, here actually, see, we don't have Hive local mode and Hive HDFS mode commands to log into the Hive shell. Well, the only command what we have to log into Hive shell is just Hive. When you enter Hive and then space enter, now it will automatically take you into the Hive shell. And the place where you will specify that your input file, like the mode that what you are using, whether it is going to be what do you say, from the local of your data node, or whether you are going to load the data from your HDFS file, you can specify only when you are using this load data command. So if I use a keyword called as load data local in path, which means that you are going to take the input file, you are going to load the data into this table from the file which is there in your local file system of the data node. Okay, but if I have not used, as of now, our input data file hive underscore ipt.txt file, this file is there in HDFS, right? So what we're gonna do is, okay, so I don't want to use that keyword called as local, so I'll just say load data in path. Okay, and so what is my path? So it is there in tree folder. What is the path where I have my input file in HDFS? So this is the path, right? Okay, into, so table, what is my table name? Hive underscore demo. So this will load this data, the table data, automatically into this file. So if you want to see, now the file data got logically represented as a table, so which allows you to write the queries. If you want to write the query, I can do it. So select star from hive underscore demo, you could be able to view the data in the table. Got it? Right? So earlier it's not possible. You cannot do any kind of querying in the file data. Now you can easily do it because the file data got represented as tables. I just created a table matching with the schema of the file data, and then I have loaded the data into the table, and then I've just now I could able to write any code. Not only select, you can try all DDL and DML commands, that whatever you have in MySQL. I think you people are already aware of the basic line, no SQL commands and all. So that's why I'm not going much deep into that. So I'm just going into that Hadoop, the concept that what Hadoop brought in, Hadoop bring to us to process the data. So is that fine, guys? Yeah, please. Yes, please. Yeah, you can proceed. No. Okay. See, logically it is representing the data as a table. Physically it is getting stored as a file only. If I'll just show you here. See, we'll let's look into the graphical user interface of the HDFS. Stored as a text file. So the table data is getting stored as a file only. Any data, see, HDFS, it stores the data in terms of files. That's it. Correct. Exactly. Yes. So that is the physical repository where actual data is there, and this is the logical. Yes, of course. Though it is logically representing, but this table data is also getting stored as a file, and which is another no, which is nothing but the replica of your original data. Correct. So the original file won't get affected. Only this table data will get affected. Mm-hmm. Of course, of course, of course, of course, you have to reload it, and you have one more command called as load data local, load data in path into table. Before you say that load data in path, you can give the path, and you have to use a keyword called as overwrite into table name. What does it will do is it will remove the entire data of existing data in the table, and it will overwrite it with the new data of the file. And otherwise, it will append. Correct. Anthony, you got it right. Good. So see, if you see here, I have a graphical user interface. This one, we can see the same file structure of Hadoop in here. In general, it's my machine is fast. That the reason is that I have not restarted my machine for the last 4 or 5 days, and many applications are running behind this. I'll do that, not now. probably in the next class, I think we can expect bit more speed from our machine. Sorry for that for this session. And yeah, please. Okay. Uh, Correct. Though physically this file data got divided into many splits, okay, in the distributed network, uh, which in which data nodes the file got, no, the input splits are copied. All this information is being stored with name node. The metadata is there with name node. So when we are working with Hive, so when we load that entire file data into this table, okay, so our Hive query requests, we have something like Hive architecture, which I'll demonstrate to you slowly. So in Hive architecture, okay, the whatever the user query, that what we will give either through CLI mode, command line interface mode, or through graphical user interface mode. So this will go to the driver. So we have so one driver engine. So what does that will do is that driver will communicate with the compiler. So this compiler, what does it will do is it will communicate with, we have something called as what do you say, Hive metastore. So that metastore has the enough information about what is your table schema is all about, how many fields it has, what is the data type of each field. This metastore will give the metadata information about your table that is enough for my compiler to prepare an execution plan to execute the user queries. And those queries will be executed by Hive execution engine. So to keep it simple, okay, to make it understand for your query, so what I can suggest to you is like, though the data got splitted into multiple data nodes physically, it is all this metadata information is there with the name node, and that name node will help to get the entire data and then load it into a single table. See, that is why Hadoop is very smart enough. So physical storage is the way how it is organizing and managing data. Logically, we no need to take that burden. Okay, see, we are just considering that yes, I have a data. Yes, I have represented the data in a table. Now I could able to write my queries on the table. You physically no need to bother about, because Hadoop is very good at that, and it is very smart enough to handle such kind of issues very easily. Right? Got it right? Yeah, yeah. So you can see here the browse file system, and by default, if you have not specified, like see, even when you are creating the Hive table, you have one more option called as, okay, where you can specify the path of the table. Just create a table name, and right, and then you have given row format delimited, fields terminated by. We have one more feature, one more attribute called as location. So and then you can specify the default location. You can override the default location of Hive tables in HDFS. By default, all the Hive tables that whatever you create will get stored in data warehouse. So we have a folder called as user. Under user, you have another directory called as Hive and warehouse. Inside user Hive warehouse, you can see all the tables that is getting created. So by the time it gets loaded, okay, so meanwhile we'll get into this. And the tables that what we created, okay, we just created a normal table, right? Create table name. And we have these kind of tables are said to be called as managed tables. In Hive, actually, we can create two kinds of tables. One is managed tables, the other one is external tables. So what is the difference between managed tables and external tables? When we have to go for managed tables, when we have to go for external tables? Generally, in real time, in most of the projects, okay, like almost every time, okay, we prefer to go for external tables only. The reason is these manual tables, when you create a manual table and we load the data, the data, no, the same question that what Deepak have asked, okay, I think this explanation will give you, enough information about your query. So when you load the data, file data into a normal table, if anything, unfortunately, if you drop the table by mistake or intentionally, along with the table schema, that actually the file data also will get dropped. So which should not be the case in the real time, in all the real time projects and all. So what we'll do is we'll go for an external table. So we'll just create the same table, like create a table name. Instead of that, I'll say like create external table name. I'll just use an extra keyword called as external. So because of that, so when I create an external table and load the data into the table, so though I have dropped my external table, only the schema will get dropped, but not the data to which it is pointing to. So your data will be safe, okay, and your data is not going to be harmed. So that's why we always go for external tables. So we just create an external table, like create external table, and then we just give the table name. Right? The same syntax, same thing. What is the main difference is like, so the actual though you know affect, though you drop the table schema or drop the table, but only schema will get dropped, but not actually the original data to which it is pointing to. Right? You got it, right? The difference. Yes, you can see the file getting created here inside user hive warehouse. So what is the table that what we created is hive underscore demo, right? So with the table name, automatically a directory will get created inside which your hive underscore input.txt, so whatever the file we got loaded, that data will get loaded here. So if I just open this file, you can see that data as, see physically you can see that data got represented as files only. But logically, this hive underscore demo is not a directory for us, it is a table for us. So all tables that whatever we create are getting created as directories in user hive warehouse. Okay. So and the data that what it consists of, okay, it is represented as files only. So what we have loaded into this, right? And one more thing, like, so I have moved that file there, and where is this? We have a four. One second. Pardon? Yes. Correct. Exactly. Now, right. See, one more concept is there. Like, okay, see, in real time, so we have an extra feature in when compared with MySQL, we have an extra feature in Hive query language. For example, if I have a data with me and the same data that what we have on the screen now, so if I want if I want to fetch the information about only, you know, based on the designation wise. Now, for example, I have designations here like admin, sales, engineer, techie, and manager, CEO. So we have six designations. I want the data to get partitioned, to get segregated based on the designations. So generally, if you take the real-time data, so the big data is all about, no, it's a huge data, right? The large data sets will be there. If I have Indian census information with me, and I want the whole Indian population, the census information. Now, when I have in a single file or, you know, in a very huge file, so, but I don't want to do analysis on data. For example, if I want to do some processing on the data, I have to go through each and every record of that file. So, which will take more time to process my query. When my file size is more, to even to process a small query, it will take a lot of time. So, to what should I do is to avoid this problem, we have a concept called as partitioning. So, what is exactly partitioning will do? And you know, so this will logically what is say, for example, yes, I want to partition my data, my Indian census data, based on the state name. So I have state like Tamil Nadu, I have Andhra Pradesh, I have Karnataka. So each state information will be created as a separate directory, and only the only the population information about which related to that particular state will be will be represented as a separate file in the directory. So I have a Karnataka folder separately, I have a Tamil Nadu directory separately, I have the data, whole data will get represented as separate files. So partitioning allows us to categorize the data based on a particular value of a column. So your partitioning column was, so how, like, okay, you can specify your partitioning column can be anything here. So I can give my partitioning column as designation. So I will get 6 partitions automatically because I have 6 types of designations. And if I give partitioning based on my department, here how many types of departments I have? I have 3, A and B and C. So 3 types of partitions can be happen. So 3 partitions. So the whole of entire data of your file, okay, will get represented as 3 files. So the one with partitioned with the department name A, and then other data, all the users with the under department B will come as a separate file, and under C as a separate file. So how to do partitioning, and we also have another concept called as bucketing. How to do partitioning, how to do bucketing, and the hands-on experience of how to do that. Okay, we'll see in detail about those concepts in our next session. Also, I'll explain you about the Hive architecture. So initially, like most of the sessions, if you see, some people will start Hive introduction with the data types in Hive, and the common differences that what we have with MySQL and Hive. And so there is not much difference between SQL and this one, and what are the data types that it supports, and the way that how we write the DDL and DML queries, the syntax as well. And most of the things are exactly similar to your SQL. Only thing is it provides some extra features like partitioning, bucketing, and then we can load the entire file data into table at one go. So we have, that's why I just got into that concept directly. Anyway, anyhow, okay, in our next class, okay, I'll prepare a PPT for you, and then I'll demonstrate you the Hive architecture and also the basic differences between the SQL and Hive as well. And also, like in our next class itself, we will complete the Hive partitioning and then Hive bucketing topics as well. Right, guys, like so, okay. So we'll thanks for your time. We'll see those topics in the next class.